And we couldn't switch costumes with one of the other girls because she was much bigger. And so they had to just drop the whole thing, and I think she wore black eagles.
After about a week, Mel came in with the DP. They looked at it, we discussed shots, and then it seemed a minute later that we were in the theater doing it.
We had to get a theater that had very specific requirements, the basement and the rooftop, and we needed a theater across the way. That theater doesn't exist anymore. It's the Playhouse Theater. It was a theater really not suited for what we had to do. It didn't have an orchestra pit. We needed an orchestra pit. What I did for the orchestra pit was I removed about 3 or 4 rows of seats in the front of the stage, and we had a little brass rail and a drape that ran across the whole front, in front of the last row that we left remaining seated. And we had low lights that sort of created a glow from back there, as if they were the music stand lights from the people in the orchestra. And the conductor was really sitting on what we call an apple box. He was probably sitting about 8 inches off the floor, conducting, as if he was conducting a full orchestra.
Actually making the production number was an amazing task. We did it all in one day. Normally, in a movie musical, even in the 30s, they would take a week to shoot a Fred Astaire number or a Busby Berkeley number for sure. But we had a lot going on in Springtime for Hitler, and we actually did it in one whole long day.
We had one camera which shot directly at the stage from the point of view of a viewer in the audience. And the other cameras were picking up close angles on things like the boxes and various other places.
Mel always shoots with multiple cameras. It's economically wise. You're covered from different angles, and you can match in editing.
I personally didn't like the reading of the guy who read, "Don't be stupid, be a smarty, come and join the Nazi party." So I didn't like his German accent, because he was a good dancer and a great guy, of course, but he didn't have, "Don't be stupid, be a smarty, come and join the Nazi party." He didn't have the joie de vivre and the bounce and the German accent, so I did it.
Don't be stupid, be a smarty, come and join the Nazi party.
And I do it on Broadway, too. If you go to see the producers on Broadway, you will hear Mel Brooks do that line. Peter Marinos, who's the actor, he's great. He mouths it, you know. But I'm very proud of my reading of that line. It's my only appearance in The Producers. I said, "Alan, I need one up-tempo like Ravel's Bolero, bum, cha-cha-cha-chum, cha-cha-cha-chum, cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-chum, cha-cha-cha-chum, as an overhead shot, and I'd like to be able to see a pattern that becomes a swastika." And he said, "I can do it. I can put silver epaulets so that you will see it will become a swastika." And then after he did it, and he said, "Oh my God, can we show this anywhere? You know, are we allowed to show this?" I said, "Look, my favorite expression is when you go up to the bell, ring it, or don't go up to the bell." And I said, "We've gone too far. We've got to ring the bell. You know, we've got to make our statement." And we did, and, you know, and that swastika is quite a statement.
We lifted the dancing swastika from Busby Berkeley, but to do that, we had to move the entire set back because the stage was that small. To get that overhead shot that would encompass the whole swastika and not expose the rest of the set. The staircase that they come down, which when we were looking at it in actuality, was right at the front of the stage. We now had to push back all the way to the rear of the stage, and we couldn't have any of the rest of the scenery there, just so we could see the front edge of the steps with the swastika and the dancers on the stage itself.
When I saw Springtime for Hitler, I was sitting with all the extras. There were about 200 extras, and we all saw it for the first time together. It was wonderful. It took my breath away that they were actually doing such a thing. It was great.
The columns becoming cannons. I was inspired by that from an Eleanor Powell movie. There was a dance number set on a battleship, but that was just something I could do, starting out with columns and swastikas, which then fly up, and then they lower down, and then the explosions happen.
During World War II, the English hired people to make jokes about Hitler, and that was a propaganda effort, because if you make a joke about somebody, you don't take them that seriously. They don't seem to be that formidable. You can beat them. And that was the idea the British propaganda had.
Jewish organizations at the beginning were outraged. You couldn't blame them. People had actually had relatives in the Holocaust, and they were simply outraged. They didn't get the joke. And you couldn't blame them because it was too close to them. But you got to be big and brave. And the way to deal with despots like Hitler is not to get on a soapbox and fight dictators and people like that with rhetoric, but to fight them with ridicule, to laugh at them, to laugh them into oblivion, rather than with philosophy or psychology win them in a debate. You can't win a debate with those guys. That's what they're born to do. But you certainly can make fun of them and laugh them into eternity, you know.
You have broken the Siegfried Oath! You must die!
My feeling about that role is that he ultimately picked the right guy, because in that scene, you got to really think that guy could shoot these guys. You know, the guy's got to be a threat. And a little cute guy might not have been enough of a threat to legitimatize the scene. I think, you know, that was one of my pluses, was that it looked like a dangerous guy. He's an amateur. Like in the dynamite scene, for example, he really doesn't know quite how this thing goes, but he likes to pretend that he knows all about it, and ultimately blows everybody up, including himself.
Shoot! It's the dynamite. If you shoot it, it will get mad at us and blow us all up.
Yeah, that is good thinking. Your silvery beams will light love's dreams. The heck is that?
Originally, we thought it'd be a good idea for the drunk, Bill Hickey in the bar. I thought maybe if he's drunk enough to mistake the plunger that's going to explode the dynamite for a shoe shine box, that he could set it off while they're still down there.
Okay, boys. Shine 'em up.
It seemed to be a beat too long, and I cut it out of the film.
People think that we improvise in the movies that Mel and I have done. We never improvise at all. If something wasn't working, we would stop and change it, mostly the physical behavior, or Mel would change lines. But we did not improvise. But when it came to that last scene in the courtroom of the producers, I said, Mel, we've gone through a whole movie. Now I'm sitting in the courtroom and I don't say anything about what I went through with Max. Well, what would you want to say? Well, as it happens, I had written it out, what I wanted to say. He said, all right, but change this line to this and this to this.
Your Honor, whom has Max Bialystock wronged? I mean, whom has he really hurt?
Gene Wilder wrote his own speech. I wrote half of it and he wrote the other half of it. He came up with, no one ever called me Leo before, even in kindergarten. They called me Bloom.
No one ever called me Leo before. I mean, I know it's not a big legal point, but even in kindergarten, they used to call me Bloom.
I never sang a song before. Before I met this man. He did a lot of ad-libbing. I think I kept most of that in, because it was so sweet.
Scene 201, take 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whistles of love, blue skies of love.
I wanted the movie to end on a really high note, and I wasn't sure how to do it. And I said, I need a number. I need another song. Can I repeat Springtime? No, they wouldn't be doing Springtime for Hitler in prison. They would be doing something indigenous to Sing Sing. So I thought for a long time, and I thought, sing, 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 sing. And I thought, prisoners. So I wrote a song called Prisoners of Love.